the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Conflicts of interest are on the agenda. With the change, yes, Don, F2, lighting repair, we're not going to be doing that, we're getting another quote. Probably tomorrow.
Friday or Monday.
So that, minus that, with the agenda, minus that.
I'll make the motion we approve the agenda as presented, or approve changes.
I'll second.
Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda.
I'll make the motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay. Gus,
Yes.
Weiss,
Yes.
Hildman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Okay, change your motion, change your current. Okay, yeah, then that'll be period on.
Yeah, thank you for letting her hear. Yeah, each of you have a picture here of that file.
Yes.
Yeah, so I was thinking maybe we could work a little bit together. As far as I know, I think it's a 21-inch tile going out from the city. Roughly,
Yeah,
something like
I
that.
think that's the last time we looked at it, it was a 21-inch field.
Okay, so that line there, where that city tile is the city's tile going on, and it dumps into the river to the east. Of course, the city and everything, after gully washing rain, and sometimes it doesn't have to be gully washing. I get a lot of water from the city coming and standing on me down in the field there. And I was wondering if I could hook into that tile and drain that little. If you look at that square to the west of the tile, that's where the bank bought that piece, that's 10 acres. So all I want to do is hook on to the south side of the city tile, which I'm thinking is only 3.5, maybe 4 acres at the most. And just try to drain mostly the surface water that comes from the city going on there. And I think, like Vance has said, that tile is probably overloaded, but how it's gonna work, in my estimation, how it's gonna work is you get a rain, and the city gets the surface water comes down that tile. I think that's all that's hooked in there, right? I don't think there's any subsurface tile that goes in there. There's very little
There's a lot of intakes,
intakes.
like on the street that drain. That 21-inch tile drains the southeast corner of town.
Okay, so it's surface water.
Yeah.
So when the surface water gets done running, which would be, a couple hours after rain, that tile is gonna take less water all the time. And by the time the water gets out, that surface water comes out on the field and starts, going through the soil profile. It's gonna be, 3-4 hours away. And so I'm not gonna add any more to that tile until that water gets through the soil profile. And by that time that water gets through the soil profile, in my estimation, most of your surface water is gonna be gone and down in the river. So it's gonna be, that tile is used mainly for surface water, and what I like to use it for is subsurface, and that's gonna be draining after your surface water is gone, basically. So what I'd like to do is just hook into that tile, and where the water sits, I probably run three tiles, probably 15 foot apart, just real close where the water sits there, so I can get rid of the water quicker. And then I would just, pattern tile the rest of that little. So it wouldn't be that many square feet of tile, but it would, I think it would help me a lot with that surface water that comes from the city and sits there for a long time.
Where does that sit, right on the east side of the stair?
No, the water's gonna sit right down here.
Oh, down in there.
The eastern side, so if you look at your map, Highway 18, you look north, that fence line to the right, you go up a couple hundred feet from Highway 18, that's where most of the water sits. So most of the water sits right north of the city tile, that comes on me. When you get big rain, it fills up, it goes further north. So it's not gonna be a lot of acres worth of tile, I'd say, probably 3 acres max, that I want to drain, but mainly get that, spot where the water sits. Because I don't get much crop very well when you get, rain, it's kind of gumbo soil. Gets wet, takes a long time to dry out, and there was tile in there somewhere, but it's failing. I'm patching every year, so there's squash outs and things, so. And I need to go on, I'll pay something for that too, if you see.
Is there a potential, Jay, with all the water that we get, once you tie into there, to oversaturate your ground even more? Seeing you're at the bottom side of that?
Well, I have,
Because there's a manhole a quarter mile south of you that a gully washer will blow the lid off.
well, I've farmed up by Pritchard's there before, it blew out there a lot, during big rains. So there would be pressure, I think they're only gonna hook up I run 4-inch tile, they might run like a 5 for a main or something, so I don't think they go over a 5-inch tile, maybe a 4, so it's not a very big hole. And I would advocate for, if the tile is running this way, I would not hook into it, at right angles, I hook into it at an angle. So there's, the water's flowing, and we're not gonna get a bunch of water going back into my tile. But yeah, there is a lot of water pressure, I understand that too, down there.
Because I think that manhole's maybe 5 foot deep and it's enough head there to lift a 80, 90 pound lid off. I don't want to, if this goes through, I don't want to make it worse for you by putting more water on there.
Yeah, I don't foresee that, but to me, the surface water is gonna be, a couple hours of water coming down that tile. And maybe an hour where when we get that head pressure. After that, the pressure's gonna go down, the flow is gonna go down, and I can start feeding that tile. So I don't foresee that, no. Is that, I'm guessing your tile is, I've seen it there before, it was a good 4 feet in ground, maybe more than that.
Yeah, it's hard. I've only seen it a couple times.
They patched it down there, I saw it, so it's quite a ways in the ground, and I think it's heavy enough soil. They put a 4-inch tile, I don't think we're gonna have any problems with it blowing back out.
So when Commercial Park was done with the other engineer, we're tied into that, same one. And he expressed his concern that we were way overloaded already and that something should be done with our storm sewer system in that corner. That's all I have.
And when you're overloaded is after rain, is when you're
Right.
overloaded.
So we have that general engineering contract quote in May, is that something you could use to see what they can find on that?
To say I don't know anything.
I don't know.
about it, so,
Yeah, can you, Yeah, so, I mean, this is the type of thing that general engineering contract is for, and we do have people on staff who are literally experts in agricultural drainage, so, yeah, we can, I think that would be wise too.
I'm not opposed to doing that, but I'd like to have them take a look at it.
Yeah, no, that's fine with me, but. Say, I'm just here asking, so. Sure, you know, I get a lot of water from the city, and it's like, maybe a little bit, and,
Where's the city water coming from?
well, the biggest one is, just south railroad tracks behind, Nelson's place, so that's where most of that water comes in there, I think.
No, that one, well, that goes over the road then, or that goes above ground. But there's a 21 that goes underneath of there, and that catches on both sides of the railroad tracks. On the north side of the railroad tracks, it goes up Main Street, and then everything on Commercial Park. And then everything down diagonal towards the tree dump goes that way. And then I read minutes books from the 60s, and it talks about a storm sewer in an alley that there's no map on. So, I mean, I don't know what stuff they did in the 60s and 50s. But if you drew up something that you want to do, and then I can send it to Bolton and Macon, and then they can make a informed decision.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because we don't want to make the situation worse for you, but we also don't want to put our infrastructure
Right.
in a bad position too.
I would just say, I understand that, that's, you know, I wouldn't want to make it any worse either. In my estimation, when you get a rain, like I say, it's gonna be full. And it's got a lot of water to take, it's gonna be full, but that's only gonna be for a couple hours. And then your surface water is gonna be gone down the ditch, and then I don't need drainage until several hours after that surface water. You know, because it takes a while for the water to get down on my ground, and then it's percolate through the ground. So we're not gonna be draining at the same time, in my estimation. So. But anyway, yeah, appreciate it.
When you going to do it this fall or what?
I'd like to do it before fall, but before. Well, I can do it anytime, no, through fall. So I've got whole ground out there, so nothing else is going on there.
Okay, how will we figure out what we?
I think, do we need a motion to have what we look into that?
I'll make a motion that we have Bolton make study that time proposal.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I have any information to do that for.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Gary Winter.
Hello, everybody. I actually came here tonight for hopefully just one reason, but it turned into two. We came here to ask you for our dates for next year for the car show. It's always the third Wednesday in July, August, September, with the rain dates the Wednesday following. However, we need a little clarification on a couple things because we're having a couple issues uptown on the north end with music being played and announcements being made that are hindering our show. So the first thing I need some clarification on is when I have use of the streets for the event, do I have use of the streets? I'm just asking the question. I just want to make sure because I'm the one that places the vendors, tell people where they can be. Nobody really participates up there unless they submit something through us on the website or get a hold of me. And if there is a problem, that's where you and I have had to talk. And if you've had feedback or a complaint, I fix it. So that's my question to you guys, I guess, first of all, for a little clarification before I go any further.
What do you mean use of the street?
Where we have the use, we block the street off, we have the use of it, kind of like Thursdays on Main, where people are told where to be placed. Yes, you can do this. No, you can't do that. That sort of thing.
I think so.
So you're asking if you have control to not have any interference with what you are trying to your announcements for the car show and whatever else is going on is not being interfered with.
That's exactly leading to my point, yes. And then I can get on with you guys about the issue that we're having.
I suppose get on with the issue you're having.
Okay, well, 6 years ago when we started the car show, we've learned a lot in the last 6 years, and we've brought a lot of business to town. And last year, as the Britt Bar and Grill was our sponsor, they had Brad, who's here, he played some music, and we kindly asked that they keep it low. We really didn't want it, but we thought, well, they're a sponsor, we don't want to, be nasty to them or whatever. However, it's become worse and worse where we didn't even know, honestly, we were never asked if they could play music. Kind of let it go last year because we had so much on our plate, we had things going on, but it was a distraction last year as well. Had some complaints about it. And this winter, we sent out our sponsorships. And just to give you guys an FYI, we raised about $40,000 to do this show. $20,000 of the sponsorships are not even in Hancock County. We're talking Fort Dodge, Algona, Forest City, Mason City, Clarion. And so we're bringing in business, we're bringing in people that wouldn't be here on Wednesday. And so we need to be able to make our announcements, make sure we have, everything for safety, play our background music with no interruptions. And that's nothing against anybody. We just need to do that. I do 48 other car shows a year, and that's how it's done everywhere else. I did not get any sponsorship back from the Britt Bar and Grill, so we didn't worry about it. We thought, okay, they're not going to sponsor this year. We don't need to worry about it. No harm, no foul. We actually, when we posted our frequently asked questions post 24 hours before the car show or 48 hours, we said, hey, these are the places that are open. We included them in that as well. We don't want to see any business go away from them. However, we're at a crossroads right now where I spent way too much time dealing with complaints, not able to get my announcements out because of the loud music up there and just kind of them doing whatever they wanted up there. And it's come to a head, and that's why I wanted to go through the proper channels. Tried to have a little bit of a discussion up there, but it was to no avail. So here I am. I'm here to answer any questions. I've got most of my crew with me, and we want to keep this here in Britt, but it's something that I volunteer my time for, and we take and bring a lot of good stuff to the town. But someone who's making a profit every time is encroaching on what we're trying to do and making it extremely difficult for us.
So they're playing music outside?
Correct. And Brad, this is nothing against you.
I'm the guy that's playing music up there. Stacy and Eric hired me to play music up there. Last month when we was up there was 2 hired patrolmen standing 10 feet away from my speakers, holding their grandchildren, having a civil conversation. I walked up there. They were talking. I could hear them talking. I could barely hear my music. His music was blaring. It's not me, the one that's got the blaring music. We've had more complaints come down to me and say, his music's so loud uptown that you can barely stand to be up there. It's not me that's making the loud music. Those guys hire me to play up there. They're a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
That's what you say it's all about. Small town business. Let's make it all for the community.
It's not that I'm trying to be a pain
It's
in
a
the butt.
small
I'm
town
not.
business.
My music is not that loud. I have walked out in front of my speakers. Many people, Todd, you've been up there before. Is it loud?
No, I still hear his music.
Yes.
He
And that's making
announces
it very
all your cars to go to your station and register.
And this year, we caught it. We shut down music while you were playing your tribute. When I was playing my tribute, you guys didn't shut down. And I had said something to you, I was gonna play my tribute after you played yours. You did not shut down.
We would like the full use of the streets. We don't want to have to deal with the distraction. When we
There
started this,
shouldn't be any distractions, Jared.
Hold on. He said he owned rights to Main Street.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
You did.
You did tell my son that.
Jared, you
You
told
own
me
rights
you
to
own
Main
Main
I
Street.
said this is our event, is what I said.
No, you didn't. You said, I own rights to Main Street.
Yes, you
That's what you
did.
said.
Is
And
there
then
gonna
you
be
also
any
called
order
out,
here? I just
do
get yelled at.
you have liquor license outdoor sales? You were gonna shut us down.
I was
Walk
not
into
going
my
to do that.
business, you will see that we have, or
This
I'm
is
gonna
why I
try
came here,
really
because this is how I get.
hard not to swear, but you did do
Jared,
that. And
do
you
you
can
want me
walk
to
into
tell
my
what you
business
told
and
me?
see that I have outdoor sales. And earlier in the evening, before the car show, you said you can walk down Main Street with a can of beer or a plastic glass. But then you come to us and say, because we didn't pay you $300 to sponsor you, because you know what? My husband and Spencer and Mark Journey is the one that set this whole goddamn thing up. And now you're calling us out to shut us down? You want to block us off at Main Street, one block ahead of us, so we are not included in
I
the.
never said that.
Okay, that's a fucking lie.
Let's stop here.
Deal with this.
What you guys need to do is convince the council, you don't need to convince each other. So whatever you have to say, address the council. if you want to.
Mayor, does he have total rights to Main Street on those Wednesday nights?
He's asking for it now.
Because what he told me, when he first came up to me last show, says, you just as well pack it up because I own Main Street, you're not playing on it.
That's not what I said.
That is exactly what you said, Jared.
You own
And don't
rights.
stand there and lie about it. That is
Okay, let's-
exactly
hold
what
it.
you
Let's settle
You were
down.
asked to
Let's settle
address
down.
I
the
didn't show
council.
up for this.
Address the council, not him. No, both,
Councilman,
asked to address the
I'm
council.
addressing the council.
No,
Does
you were
he have-
yelling at him, address the council.
Does he have exclusive rights to tell anybody and everybody what to do on Main Street?
So he requests a road closure for his events to the council.
Yep.
The council approves the road closure.
Yep,
For the specific area of location. So then it's up to the car show organizers to determine where the vendors are located in that stretch of roadway, as I understand it. Like if any, like Hobo Days, the Hobo Days committee decides where those vendors go. So
okay.
if for whatever reason, if you guys are not a part of his event, then
They are a vendor.
if
They're
they're,
selling,
He's all about the business.
beer and food
Make it
outside.
better for the business.
if they're a vendor,
They hired me. I have nothing to do with what Jared's doing up there. They hired me. So
There,
Jared shouldn't have anything to say what I do.
but the tough part is that Mojo Productions is the event organizer for the car, truck, and bike night. And so if BBG is the vendor, then they have to abide by whatever guidelines are in place for his event.
Can I speak for a second?
But it's complicated.
Eric owns a business on Main Street.
Can I speak? We started this, I guess, 6 years ago. It was 4 of us. We started it all. We got it going. And sometime between then and the next year, he turned it from a 4-man committee into a 1-man committee and no longer asked for advice anymore. A couple years later, they moved all the acoustics down so that we can't hear it. I don't know which way they face the speakers, but we could barely hear it anyway. So last year, I started hiring music entertainment for the people on this end, because there are both sides of the street where it's wanting to close are full of howlings. I can't, there's several. They're down, we can't hear, so I thought I'd provide a little entertainment down there. Brad, I tell him to keep it low. That's all I can do. We're just trying to be a business. I think the vet clinic, they're a sponsor. They're on that block. They shouldn't have to get blocked off. It's just my opinion. We're doing our best to cooperate with the city, and it's turned into a winning match, but
I'd like to think there's enough road for everyone.
That's what I'm for. There's enough room for everybody.
The main thing is during these events, there's usually a promoter and a producer. The promoter and producer organizes the events. You go to North Iowa events, you have to be registered as a vendor or whatever you do. That's all we're asking. We have to have one person in charge, not 3, not 5, not 10. As you know, as being mayor, you have to have one person in charge. We don't want to exclude anybody. We want everybody to make money. And the thing is, we just gotta have cooperation. That's all I'm asking for. And during this, we can't have multiple people, multiple sound systems going. That's what he does. He's sound.
So do you tell all the people what sound systems in their vehicles and bikes to turn them off?
We can, we have.
No,
I have told people that.
Hey, let's not.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is an argument.
Trent,
I'm just trying to have-
address the council.
Oh, yeah,
We're not arguing.
Yeah, I'm not trying to argue with anybody, what I'm trying to say is, we just gotta have production control, we just gotta have control of the event, otherwise it leads to chaos. And we're just trying to keep it family friendly, keep it organized, and not have complaints, that's it.
There's gotta be some kind of solution, or some kind of mutual compromise. We don't wanna lose this event. We've already lost a truck show that went to Forest City to a bigger venue. So we've gotta come up with some kind of solution.
Can I address the council?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, the reason that we moved down from the Britt Bar and Grill is the building was sold. We didn't know who it was sold to. I was told by Dave Cabrick, hey, you gotta find another spot. So I will take your side, Eric, 100%. When we moved down and got a new location, we had to pay for electrical to be installed. We had to do a lot of planning to make it work. The first show last year, we didn't have enough speakers. I bought $10,000 of extra speakers, did some wireless transmission, had it all set to go for the second show last year, and that's when the other music started playing. I don't want to move it a block down the street. I don't want to do that. I don't want to cost them a lick of business. We have it figured out. We've had it figured out all last year, but we couldn't test it properly simply because there's other music playing. People come up to me and say, why is there another guy talking? Why is there music playing? And last year, because they were a sponsor, I just kept my mouth shut. I said, all right, I'm just gonna let it go. It isn't worth it. You know, we don't run in the same circles. That is what it is. So I didn't really, and this is on me, I didn't really go down and say, hey, let's figure this out. Because I kind of knew what the answer would be. And so once again, this winter, we sent out our emails, we sent our invoices. They weren't a sponsor of us. No big deal. We thought, okay, they're not gonna sponsor. We're still gonna promote them. We're gonna say, hey, this is where you go to get a drink, get your food. We put them in our post. You can look at it on Facebook. And, you know, we just thought they don't want to sponsor us, fine. Didn't think to go down and talk to them again and say, hey, you know, let's not do the music, you know, we can do it. We've got everything set up. And we get pretty much to the end of setting up the last July show, and there's music playing. And I've honestly, you know, it's been a little frustrating to say the least, but I did not talk to Stacy. I talked to Eric Jr. and I just said, I don't know why this is going on. And the response I got was, well, you're for the town, you're for the town. So that's where I thought, well, maybe I'll just move it down a block and just be done with it. They can do their thing. But I didn't want to have a bunch of private conversations or try to have a conversation during the event when I've got a million other things going on and people coming at me from every direction. We're bringing a lot of business to town. I want you guys to have your business. I don't care if you like me or not, that's fine. You can hate me all you want, but I want to bring business to town and keep this going. We've had offers to take it other places. We've had a lot of people get at us. I do 50 car shows a year. Here's the other thing that I don't think anybody knows in this room. Each event, I have to have an event insurance. Now, the city's never required me to have it, but I took my own initiative. I have $2 million in special liability insurance for each event. If I can't have some sort of control on what's going on and be able to make announcements for safety, that sort of stuff, that leaves me in a bad spot. My insurance company doesn't want me involved with anything to do with alcohol. They said, do you sell alcohol? Does your entertainment have anything to do with the alcohol? And I said, no, that we don't do any of that. So we have special insurance that costs us $2,000 for the 3 events for, just extra liabilities. That's not my business liability. This is event insurance. So we got a lot going on. And when there's a problem, like when I've talked to Elizabeth and they didn't want cars up before 4 o'clock, we made sure they weren't up at 4 o'clock. So I get to handle the complaints on my end when we do something wrong. This isn't just a complaint that I have. We'd like to actually fire up our sound system. It covers the entire area and use it without any other distractions so we can actually see what it does. And we haven't had a chance to do that. So we set up all this stuff and then we get the louder music up there and we just turn our stuff down because we're done. We don't want to have a war of sound systems. I don't want to do that. I put so much work and planning into this show, and I want you guys to sell all the alcohol you can. I don't make any money at this show. I'm volunteered from January 1st to the first show in July. It's all my volunteer to raise all the funds. Like I said, over $20,000 in sponsors from out of Hancock County. That pays for all the kids' activities. That pays for the porta potties. That pays for all this stuff. I don't even put a load on the city. We bought our own barricades, so we don't even have to ask the city for barricades. We do it ourselves. We try to be as less load as we can, but we get a lot of heat from a lot of different directions. You don't have to continue the show. You could be done with it this year and say, you know what, it's too much trouble. We're going to go to another town, but I don't want to do that. I really don't. I want everybody to make money, and I'm the guy that doesn't make any money. And that's what I have to deal with right there.
It sounds like you're threatening. It sounded like 6 years ago, a 4-man crew started a car, bike, and truck night, and it sounds like it could happen again. Are you threatening?
We're not gonna yell at anybody. If you address the council if you have any issues.
So Jared, what are you asking from the council?
Well, if I could have some time to talk, I'm just asking that we're in charge of the announcements and the music. That's all. That's all I'm really asking. That way we can take care of that. People can spend all the money they want at the local restaurants and bars. It is what it is. And to build on to their point, there was a point where I was the only guy doing any of the work. That's why I took it over. And I had a conversation. And I said, you know what? I have messages from Spencer said, hey, this thing's more your ball of wax than mine. So I took it over. This is what I do. I'm self-employed. I do the same thing every day. And so I took it over and I did a lot of the work to make it simpler. There isn't anybody else but me. I'm the one that calls every single sponsor, raises the money, and does all this. I'm not threatening anybody, but it's starting to become a little bit more of a pain or a nuisance, trying to just put on a show. And I bring these people in from everywhere that we travel with our business. And then I have to put up with a whole lot of respect.
As a clarification, because I don't know that they're understanding it behind me, if we're able to be the people who are in charge of making sure that things are safe by us taking care of all of the announcements and us taking care of the music, we don't need to change anything other than that. That's literally what we're asking for.
I'm not exactly sure when this was started, obviously before I was on the council, but in my thought process, you have a person or an organization in charge of the car show. They determine who the vendors are. You can't just show up and put a booth up and start selling something. They're going up and down the street doing their advertising and talking to sponsors and everything else. They're making the announcements, they're playing music. I don't understand why we need someone else making announcements, playing music, because I myself do not understand how someone else playing music is going to draw more business to any certain vendor. They're up there selling alcohol and food, not entertainment as far as music. And you have a person, an organization in charge. I'm not taking sides on anything. I'm just stating my opinion. We need one person in charge of this car show and what's going on, who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. Obviously, all the restaurants and bars on Main Street don't need permission to be open. during the car show or anything else, or to sell food, alcohol, or anything, but when it interferes with the car show, the announcements and what they're doing, and they're the ones in charge of the car show, they're the ones bringing all the people in that are spending the money at all the different vendors, bars, restaurants, and everything. It only makes sense that they're in charge of what's going on, and not someone else. Again, just my opinion, not taking any sides, just stating an opinion.
And Jared had mentioned Thursdays on Main. Many of you may not know this, but I work for the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. And so as part of the Clear Lake Chamber, we make requests to the city council to close Main Avenue and Clear Lake. And the chamber is in charge of vendor applications. We're in charge of the live entertainment. We're in charge of the car show that takes place in Clear Lake on Main Avenue. And it all is coordinated by the chamber. If someone else has live music, that's not how it works. We're in charge of the entertainment. So, because we're the organizers of the event, but it does, businesses downtown do have music after the event, out of respect for the event and all the people that come downtown. But there should be an understanding, some sort of cooperation in that respect because if the car show promoters have the street, they're the ones who are taking the vendor applications, raising the money for the event. I don't want to see any business not succeed because of the event. There are so many people downtown for that one day every month. It's amazing. We're very lucky to have it, but there's got to be some way to make this easy. This is a really long conversation about something that should be on our table.
I'd like to ask you, Britt Barngrove, having your own DJ, does that increase your business enough to make it worthwhile?
Say that again for me, I'm sorry.
Having your own music down there, is that paid? I mean, wouldn't you still have lots of business if you didn't have your own music?
I would imagine we would. We put the music there after they moved there, we put it here. And this year was the first show and how was I to know we bought new speakers? So we didn't hear the music last year, so I thought we're just gonna have some music out here for everybody that's sitting at this end.
Okay.
So if it's,
So now there's music, you're now hearing, I wasn't here for the first car show this year.
There is a
There is
speaker
music.
now on
You can
the
hear
end.
music on that end of Main Street now.
There also was last year, but we didn't turn it up.
You
There
could
it
not
is.
hear it.
I'm asking you can now hear Mojo's music on that end of Main
I
Street.
could this year, yeah.
Okay, I mean, to me, doesn't that kind of resolve the problem?
We didn't know that though.
No,
before.
no, that's what I'm saying, but now that everybody's aware that his music and announcements and everything can be heard on the north side of Main Street, doesn't that kind of resolve the issue then, because you can hear the music, he's bringing in the people, bringing business to, one of our restaurant bars in town.
But Brad was also announcing, everybody that come in, go down and register there. It's not like it was a conflict. He was working together. He announced us as a bar to go check out. Brad was announcing to the cars to go down and register. So I didn't feel as if it was the two of them fighting with each other. I thought that they were working remotely together.
Well, what's the difference of this and say like the Britt Barn Grill and Sharks when they were open? They had bands, both of them had bands. You could hear each other's music. So I'm a little confused as to how we can say, we're not gonna allow you to play, but we're gonna allow these people to play.
One thing is he's all about the
That's
small,
my problem.
he's all about the businesses. Brad's a business, he's a business in town. So we are paying BB and Light and Sound because he's a business. You're all about the businesses making money. He's a business in town. So why is it such an issue? Because you want to move your barricades one block south of our business to completely eliminate us being even part of the show. That's what you came here for tonight.
No, I did not.
That's not a true story because it's on.
Address the council.
I'm sorry.
Otherwise, we're just getting another argument going. But that is not something he's brought up. What may have been said, who knows where, when, why, that is not part of what's being brought to the council tonight.
Okay.
Correct?
No, I've just heard it from numerous people.
Isn't that what it said?
That's what it says. So he's moving the barricades. It says it on the agenda. He's moving the barricades.
Well, I
You know
think
what?
everybody here would agree, we want everybody to have as much business as possible everywhere. And, you know, we want to resolve this issue. The question that was asked of the council was for you to have responsibility on the music, right?
Music and announcements, we would prefer it to come from us, because we had a lot of people coming to us and complain, and they say, what's going on? This guy's talking, you're talking, we can't hear announcements. We've got to call the people that win their trophies. We've got to call the kids that win the fight. I want everybody to win. I don't want to move the barricades. I don't want to take the show away. I don't want to stop the show. But I'm the guy who's got the most time in this. And it doesn't matter to me if someone sponsors or not. But I believe that everybody can walk away from this winner. But we're getting awful frustrated when we had sound up there last year. Katie spent 3 extra hours setting up sound. We have $2,000 transmission system that we bought just for this show. I don't use it anywhere else. And she had all her stuff up there. She goes, Jared, I'm not gonna turn it up because they've already got their stuff going. We weren't gonna turn speakers up over speakers. So we just shut her down. And we didn't even know, and I will agree with them. They didn't know that we put speakers up there, but I didn't feel comfortable going in there off the record and having a conversation with them because I probably knew I was gonna be in the wrong no matter what I said or anything. I mean, I even thought about giving them their sponsorship money that they spent for 3 or 4 or 5 years, giving it back to them and say, I just want to divorce myself from this situation. I'm just trying to make it right. And I don't want to take business away from them. But the first place there that people see, I want people to have that as a convenience. There's no way that I would have any vindictiveness toward them to take business away from them. That's not how I operate. If they don't like me personally, I can deal with that. I can sleep just fine at night, but I'm not trying to take any business away from anybody. We just got a phone call. We have a charity organization that's going to come up by the fire station and raise money. And they said, do we need to pay anything to be there? I said, no, you're a charity. It's fine. This is me that runs this. If I quit running it, it goes away because I am the one that puts 2,500 hours in between January 1st and the first show myself, putting everything together. If I don't do that, then it's gone.
Oh, I think we need a.
The people that can resolve it are you two parties. What's your suggestion?
Is there any other thing that we shut the main street down or anything specific during the year
Holidays.
besides Hobo Days?
But even back on Hobo Days when they used to have, I remember they used to have bands up at Veterans Park and the bars would have their bands too. So we never told the bars they couldn't have their bands while they were having a band up here at Veterans Park.
But that's a little,
Yeah.
to me, that's different than one person, one organization putting everything on. The city's not gonna, for Hobo Days, that's the city. And the city makes that decision. Because the city's in charge of Hobo Days, or the Hobo Days committee or whatever is in charge, they make the decision, correct? What, if all the bars can have a band or what vendors or anything?
I'm not sure how that.
I don't think they know the
Hobo Day committee tells Eric or
No.
anybody else what they can or can't do.
But it's different from in that respect. So,
Right.
I don't know. Whereas,
We're also checking people in, we're registering cars, we're making announcements, we're calling out sponsors. We're trying to do the best we can for our sponsors too and let people know what's going on. We have me and a co-host there.
To me, they stated the fact that the only reason they started playing music is because yours could not be heard on that end of Main Street. We've already established yours can now be heard on the north end of Main Street. To me, it makes more sense. We have one organization in charge. They should make the decisions because they make the decisions what vendors can come in. And everything else that's going on with it, they make the announcements, they're doing everything else. I don't think that should be interfered with because that's what's bringing the people into town. That's what's giving all the businesses on Main Street, all the vendors that come in. That's what's bringing all the money into town for them. Every different place playing music will only interfere with it because then I can take my building on Main Street and start announcing stuff there. I wouldn't do that, but I mean, why not?
I need it.
But I'm not part of that organization. I'm not gonna interfere with them. That's who should be in charge, is the one that's doing all the time, effort, bringing the people in. Britt Barn Grill has already agreed that you can hear the music on that end. There's no reason to double up on something.
One thing I can tell you, and this is something I'm proud of, is I've never brought in an outside food vendor for this event. It's always been the locals. And even now that Woody's is bought by a guy from Garner, but he does our ice cream. Before I even brought in the ice cream vendors and said, hey, does a grocery store want to do it? Damon, do you want to do ice cream? I've tried my level best. I'm just a human being, and I've tried to keep it all local food. I can't tell you how many dozens of food trucks call me every year. Hey, we want to get in Britt. I had a discussion with everybody, and they said, Jared, as long as we can handle the food, we can handle it. So if you get to a point where you say, hey, we don't have enough local businesses doing food, I've never had anybody come up to me and say, hey, we can't get you food. Brad's might run out at some point, but he may only make so much. He runs out Thursdays on Main too, because you don't want to make double what you might sell. But we've never brought in anything outside food. And that's what I've done for 7 years. And I get called every name in the book by these outside food vendors. They see me at other events. Well, why don't you let me in there? Well, I'm trying to have some rules for a reason. And the last time I did check, it's the event that I'm in charge of that I've put all my time into.
Well, Tom, what are we gonna do, council?
I think we've discussed, and I think we need to make a decision on what to do.
I want these guys to win too. I don't have anything against them, but it's very hard for us to do our job when there's other things going on that is exactly the same thing we do, and we're not in any bit of control of it. And it's frustrating. I have anything against them. I did not come here to say I was gonna move the street or block down. No, not at all. But I wanted to discuss this because in my mind, I'm looking forward to next year, and I don't want to deal with this anymore. And shame on me for not going down and talking to him last year and saying, hey, I don't want this. And I never went down there and told him to shut it off because I didn't know if I had that authority. I wanted to go through the proper channels where we're all in the same room, so I don't screw up any more than I probably screwed up doing this for 6 years. But I'm learning as I go. I'm trying to bring money into the town, which you guys do very well for. And that's we even went to Britt Bar and Grill and bought gift cards beginning of this last cruise because we had a new trophy class. And we had a trophy, we wanted some gift cards with it. So we went in there and spent our money. I get stuff to go from there whenever we can. I don't have anything against them. I really don't. If they don't like me as a person, I'm okay with that, but I'm just trying to make all this work. That's all I'm trying to do.
Jim, I don't know if it's our position to determine whether Brad can play his music or not. Mojo Productions is the one who requests the road closure for car, truck, and bike night for the car, truck, and bike night event. The council approves the road closure for the event. I think it's up to the event organizer to work that out. I don't think it's the council's place to determine whether a business in town can have music or not. I don't think that's the council's.
I don't think we can legally.
And that's why I came here to figure out what we can do. Because I didn't want to say anything, I didn't want to do anything. I wanted everybody in the same room so we can figure it out, because that determines possibly what we're gonna do or not do. And that's not threatening anybody. It's, I'm supposed to be at a charity event in Fort Dodge giving kids backpacks today, and I had to pay an employee to go down there because I've got to be here. So I'm already, I'm losing money today just standing here, but that's all right.
Can we
I'm
table
not gonna
this
lose any
and
money.
find out what the council can and can't do on this, then make a decision?
No, we said we don't think it's our,
What we
It
don't
would be up to
think,
the
we
vendor.
don't know.
Is it something we could ask Earl? Because I'm thinking it's not. I don't feel that it's legal for us to tell a business that they can't play music.
And that's what I'm saying, I don't think it's our position, I think it's up, Mojo Productions asked us to close the road, I think it's up to them to work it out, whether they agree or disagree, I think they just have to either
Get their own lawyer?
make a decision or.
The other thing that I can do, and I haven't told anybody this, I can patch them a signal and they can run my music and I can still do the announcements. But I think having two separate sources of music and two announcements is a little ridiculous. We do tons and tons of car shows and nobody does it that way. Nowhere I go does it that way. Whatever they're paying you, Brad, I'll take it out of my back pocket and give it to you. I don't really care. I just think the event is
But
suffering
Jared,
because of it.
let me ask you this. In all reality, your other car shows that you do, are they 9 blocks long?
Yeah, we have some big car shows. We do Cruise to the Woods and we cover almost 4.5 acres. And we use remote transmission and it works great.
And
So
that's not in town though, is it?
it is in a compound that has streets and avenues in it. So yeah, it's basically its own little town. I'm not gonna argue with you, Brad.
I'm not arguing, I'm just asking a question.
okay,
Okay.
I don't think we're gonna have any ordinance that.
When I said we had to make a decision, didn't mean we had to tell who to do what. We just have to make a decision on what the city or wants to do. And I think we need to do that. I think that,
I think we've done
it's
what
a
we do.
private thing.
I think we've done what we do, and that's, we approve the road closure.
We have
for the
no
event.
authority to do any of the other.
That'd
We
be
have,
like,
like Kurt said, we have no rule.
that'd be like us telling Hobo Days that they couldn't have someone coming in saying there was an issue with UG having music back there and it interferes with the veterans park. We'd be like, not our event, you have to go to the committee.
But I think one thing we can do is if we have somebody else approach the city and say, we want to close down this portion of Main Street for our business, we could make a decision on that.
Yeah.
And that would be,
But that's not the item that's on the table right now.
no. No.
And it's not saying that it previous
One thing I
decisions that
don't
we've made.
want is I don't want anybody walking around saying I own Main Street.
I never said that. Did not say that.
I got one more thing to say. This will probably clear things up. In the new facts that he's got new systems and all this stuff unbeknownst to me until tonight. If they got music that'll cover the whole 10 blocks, then I don't need a band. I got a DJ because we couldn't hear them. They moved.
And Brad, you could come to work with us on that show and.
We can hear it. I don't need a DJ.
Yeah, it's nothing against you, my friend. It really
Doesn't
is.
that resolve the issue then?
Yeah,
He just resolved it. Thank you, and let's be done.
That last Wednesday, Jared, don't shake your head about it. You came up there in your four-wheeler with 3 other guys and said right out to
Hey
me.
Brad, we said to address the council, Brad, address the council. No more arguing about it.
I just want the council to know.
He just resolved the issue, saying as long as there's music that we can hear down here, we don't need to hire a DJ. Thank you very much. You resolved the issue for us. let's go forward.
Thanks, Eric.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think again,
It's already been resolved, so let's go forward.
Okay,
You want to approve our dates for next year, or do you want?
yes, absolutely, thank you.
Can we do that?
Yes. With the street closing at 4 o'clock.
And what are the days?
The third, Wednesday in July, August, September with rain dates. What was the rain dates, the 4th?
Yeah, just go to the next one.
Okay,
Go to next week.
Yes.
okay. Can I get a motion for that?
I'll make a motion that we approve that.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, I would like to clarify that we will continue to block Main Street at the bank corner.
Yeah.
going
Yes,
forward.
yes, and that, Eric, thank you. Thank you for working with me. I'll be very honest with you. All I want to do is make it work, and I'm gonna figure out a way to get Brad involved with our event where he can get paid, still make money. Everybody wins, everybody makes money.
Good. Yeah, we want to keep it in red.
I want to do that.
We want every business that participates to prosper,
Absolutely.
whether it's you or Brad or Eric or Red, White, and Blue.
We can use Brad, he knows what he's doing. We can use him on our crew and he'll get paid as much or more than he's already getting paid now.
There are seriously enough people in town to benefit everyone.
Okay, next up. Linda.
May I read it from here, or you want me to?
Yeah, you're fine.
All right, thank you. Okay, you should have my report, but for the rest of those assembled, our summer reading program began the last week of June and completed just tonight with the recognition party for those kids who met their goals. We had wonderful programs on comic book art, music with performers and an instrument zoo, and rafters. Kids could participate in group or individual projects, and all had set personal reading goals. Prizes mostly were books and candy bars. The final party was held at the bowling alley this evening with pizza. So it was a lot of fun. Okay, we also had an adult summer reading program that was also successful. Adult names were put in a drawing for a gift certificate from Britt Foods. Each adult needed to read 5 books beginning in June to be on the drawing. And I don't think we have drawn that name yet. It's happening tomorrow. We hired a West Hancock High School student to spray, clean, and paint all the library windows at the front of the building and those that face the park. He also painted the red doors on the back of the building. And just as a note, replacing these windows may need to be considered in coming years. I believe they are all original building windows to the building. We had a small repair needed in our single restroom. There was a minor leak near the toilet, but it's all good now. State reports for open access, direct state aid, and interlibrary loan were all filed before the July 31st deadline. Those are all reports that have to go in for us to get money back from the state. The library received notification of its state of Iowa accreditation. Accreditation is valid through June 30th of 2027. So accreditation is every 3 years. Our board members whose terms were up have all expressed interest in another term serving as trustees. They are Mike Matern, Mark Jamgart, and Christy Goss. They have all been excellent as library trustees. Their term is 6 years, so this term would be until June 30th of 2030. And the library will have staff training on Thursday afternoon, August 8th. We'll be closing at noon instead of our usual 5 o'clock for staff training from noon until 5. And the library will be closed as usual during Hobo days. Any questions?
How was your live music event?
It was inside the library and we could still hear Jared's, but it was okay. Yeah, we had people inside. you
Air
know,
conditioning.
yeah, it was air conditioning, you're right, it was nice. Parking was a little harder for a couple of them, but everybody made it work.
I understand all you need is the mayoral appointments for those three.
Yes,
And
please, sir.
I will do that, Mike Return, Mark Jamgart, and Christie Guy.
Thank you.
And thank them.
I will, they're good people.
And kudos on a successful summer reading program for kids and adults.
Thank you. And honestly, half of the kids that were there today had never been in the bowling alley before and were so excited and said it was the most fun ever. So I hopefully they'll all go back and tell their parents and families and they'll be back.
I was gonna say, that's also good.
Yes.
We got the curb support on Main Avenue. They got water installed to the new bank. I met with the mayor and Dutch.
Yes.
To open up the jungle early and go over some water issues. The electricity that they have in the Hobo Jungle is not enough.
That's good.
They would like to have more amperage brought out there. So I talked to Redding and he gave a quick diagram. If we could upgrade our 100 amp service to a 200 amp service, I can put a better drawing or price list together. I just wanted you guys to be aware that there's a lot more electricity needed out there right now than what's available. So he went, tidied up really good, and that's what that's. Walton Main came up, we had a GIS meeting, a progress meeting. Went to Lake Mills last week for the new sweeper to learn how to run it. Concrete poly fix was here, they got Third Street lifted successful. They had trouble with Main and Center Street by Swenson. They didn't charge the full amount for that because they didn't get it. I had to do some more sawing to get those to heave up. Or I can find a quote on what it would take to report. We received the stop signs from Highway 18 as of yesterday. I got 3 up, east, west, and the other east, 48. The 236s are in the middle, and the 48 on the going east is up too. I'm trying to add the flashing beacon that's there. Trying to wire that into the box, so I have to do a little modification with the brackets. And we brought the sweeper home today. Went to Lake Mills and drove home, and I was sweeping this afternoon.
How's it work?
Very well.
That's great. That's good for Hobo days.
Yeah, it took a little bit of, they were gonna try to get it to us by the 20th. I said, if we're gonna be that generous, I could really use it. Yeah.
Gotta get them two gals off the floor.
Got Lake Mills off the door. After work today, I did.
Okay, next we have Katie. Can I ask a Vance a question?
Yes.
Is your department responsible for tree trimming in the city parks? Or is that hired out? When we
It
do that?
depends on some of the lower stuff we do. If it gets up, if there's some stuff that's needed a lift, we usually hire that out. But is there something you see that needed attention?
At Lions Park, above the swing set, that tree, it hangs
That
pretty
great big ash tree in the center.
by the bench that hangs over the swing set. That branch hangs kind of low into the swing set.
Okay.
I don't have a kid that's gonna swing that high, but I can see that it could be an issue. And there were some pretty ugly looking branches, but maybe it has that real ash where I have no idea. But just thought maybe it'd be worth looking at.
Do we own the pine trees by the water treatment plant? South side.
I don't believe so. I think that's the neighbors. Because we had the 2 trees that I didn't want to own. so we had to have those removed. I think the pine trees on the second line.
I think you're right.
Sorry, I just
No,
want to
you're
ask
fine,
about
you're
your
fine.
trees.
Do what I'm told.
And I was just asking.
No, you.
Doesn't need
No,
to
if
be
it's, if
immediate.
it's something that's safe for us to do, we can do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just something to look at when you're in that area.
Sometimes it's easier to hire somebody that's got the right equipment to do it.
Yeah, and I didn't know where it fell, if it was one of those, if it's too high up.
Okay, we're on the GIS professional services, correct?
Yes. So you guys kind of approved this,
We budgeted for it.
we budgeted for it, and you guys approved the budget for this. So it's that mapping, that JS mapping system that you guys were a part of. Was that during the,
It's in January, or,
it was
Came
like
and presented to us.
Yep.
the, yeah,
yeah, we did like a
special, budget. That's all I'm saying.
So this just outlines more in detail the work that is going to take place and kind of a timeline.
Yes, and we're also, so this is coming out of partial road, sewer and water. We would also like to purchase the equipment. I don't remember what the estimate was, Eric's gonna get us a quote for that. But obviously I know that we have budget for the equipment, but we're also thinking about abstaining from doing overlay this year since he has 2 partial roads for next year, and since we bought the sweeper, giving road use a break so that we can catch up and do little minor fixes around town that need attention. So then we would have the budget to buy the equipment so they can do all the GIS mapping and not have to pay Bolton and me to do that.
So there'd be more wiggle room in the budget
Yes.
because we aren't planning a street project, a massive street
Yes.
project. And then every time we need to update the GIS system, our team would just do it versus paying additional money.
Would you do any overlay this year at all?
Might want it. That's something that we were gonna look at for the budget, because there's the opportunity for 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 6 blocks. I mean,
Right.
They're short ones. And maybe put it off a couple of years and just have all of them done at once. The equipment issue we're looking at buying is helping. It's just a data collector, so that we can go out. We'll always have it in our shop, so whenever we dig a hole or something comes up, we can always put it in there. And then the smart people there can put it in our GIS, and make it readable for us.
The smart people being Marcy.
So we just need a motion to approve that task order.
Yes.
I'll make the motion that we approve task order number 4, GIS professional services.
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carried.
Next is the sanitary sewer rehab. Just trying to get to where I'm supposed to be at. Okay. So Bolton and me put a task order together for this. I don't think we're gonna do the approval tonight, just because, so I talked to Maggie with Spear Financial, and we don't think we'll have to increase sewer rates. We think our budget for our funds can pay for this, so we'll obviously bond for it, we'll just pay for the principal and interest, but she needs to make sure that we can pay for it out of our sewer funds and not have to increase rates. But that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys, obviously the task order, Katie can speak on that.
So the task order is, for design and, design services for that rehab, food bidding and, permitting services. That, it's been discussed with Vance and with that so far. So it's, we can, if you're not ready to move on it, like the task order can be acted on next month or the one after that, whenever you're ready. It's just to get those plans and stuff ready and get the plans on the dealer so we can get up the project.
And then you can see what Maggie provided, so it would cost from $4,000 for Spear Financial to do this GO mill, or not GO, well, it's a GO mill. And, $13,000 from, AOJ Clooney for all like the bond obligations, so setting up the ordinances and everything. Then the resolutions and all that stuff, and then you can see we have a remaining legal debt margin of over $6 million, and then it shows the estimated projected cost for this, sewer rehab. So, just some background for you guys to look at, and next month we'll have some more information on it, we'll have the increased sewer rates. We don't think we will, but
The big thing with the schedule on this is just wanting to keep it before we move into the, wastewater.
Because the, task force order and all the other, these are just the cost for the behind the scenes stuff right now, but the bond will be paying for the actual work. In addition to those other services. Next, we don't need a motion to table it.
no,
Okay.
Police report, Tyler.
Closer. So you have my report. We had a total of 132 calls between July 1st and August 5th. Our new hire started, Anthony Boster. He started a week ago yesterday. He's just kind of riding along with us right now and just kind of getting used to responding to calls and seeing how all that works. I already got him registered for the academy, and he starts that on the 26th of this month. So he'll be going here in a couple weeks. Got us all recerted on our rifles. Dan Nelson did that for us. Jordan and I got recertified on CPR a couple weeks ago. We took the 2014 over to Algona to get that stripped out. I'm still waiting to get that back from him. And then we assisted with the truck show.
I had a question about your report. You had highlighted I think it was under the Hancock County.
Mm-hmm.
You highlighted contract 451 and then you subtracted that from.
I always just subtract their contract. It's just to show what their, so when they go on contract time, it's when they go to like all their cities that they contract. So Woden, Clemmy, Corwith, they have to contract, or they call into dispatch to say that they're contracting.
Okay.
It's just a show. And then, so I always just subtract that amount from their actual calls because they're not.
It makes sense. I just wanted to make sure that was what it was. Cause I was like, is there something else I can do that's contract?
No.
next we have the 28E agreement with Hancock County that provides services to Garner Police Department, Britt Police Department, Canal Police Department. Currently we're with
NGT.
NGT and I guess we'd like to switch. The
contract through NGT ended on July 31st.
Yes.
So I think the county's just covering us until we get this signed, but.
The county's hiring or did hire an IT person.
They hired, so his name's Chris Lamont. He was actually kind of the head guy for NGT. So they hired him as their like main IT guy. And so we'd like to just go through them just since we're all on the same server already anyways, and he's going to take over the server and it just would be a lot easier for us to switch over to them than to stay with NGT.
What's the difference in the amounts?
So currently we pay, NGT, I think $440 a month for coverage. And we can use them anywhere from like a couple hours a month to like 20. We've used them quite a bit last year for an incident that we had with, somebody trying to hack into the city stuff or into our systems and stuff like that. So, but we are, I mean, we don't use them that often, so they're gonna charge $70 an hour with Hancock County IT, and it's only if they're being used. So I think we've come out ahead overall.
Just before we were paying 440 regardless.
Yeah, regardless if we called it or not, so
Do we know how many hours we used them last year?
not total. I looked up a couple of invoices and it was like, well, I looked up last year's invoices. I think the lowest we had was a couple and the highest we had was like 12, but I know.
Were we getting a new server and everything?
Yeah, there was a lot of costs for, we had an update, or Jordan had an update the system, so that's partially what it was. We've come out ahead.
And Chris has told me that, just to kind of help out too, he would only charge us if he has to travel to Britt. So if we have something that he could help us out over the phone, he wouldn't charge us for that. Or if we could take it down to Garner, to the sheriff's office, he wouldn't charge us for that because he's already down there and getting paid by them anyways. So if he said he'd only charge us if he had to come to Britt to fix something or work on something. So.
Sounds like it provide continuity between all the
Yeah.
departments.
And if we would stay with NGT, they'd still have to go through him to get to the city, so it's just.
Yeah.
Or is it add another step there then?
No.
So I'll make the motion that we approve
Yeah, it's a resolution.
Yep. I'll offer resolution 17/2024, Hancock County, Garner Police Department, Britt Police Department, Garner, Canal Police Department, shared IT director, 2080 agreement.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Scott?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Hilda? Yes. Nelson?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Next we have, so last month, you guys approved the 2024 quote for $48,830.
Like, I meant to get with him and I forgot to, but I think he had said that they weren't building 2024s anymore. And so he quoted me for a 2025 and it was only like $3,000 more. It's some change.
51,920.
So,
So we just need a motion to agree with it.
Approve the new quote.
I'll make the motion since I'm pretty sure I made the other motion to purchase the new police vehicle.
I'll second it. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Do you want to talk about the stationary radar?
yeah, so the next one is just, so we had a handheld radar. It's just another way of running radar. Instead of using the ones in our car, we can like point it out the side of our window. Or this one particular, I guess the one we have, you have to plug it in to the car. Well, that one stopped working. Jordan uses it quite a bit, and it stopped working last week, I believe, right? Yeah. He especially likes to sit. I know we've gotten complaints on the fairgrounds road there about people speeding. So especially during fair week. So he sat there quite a bit and it stopped working. I actually talked to one of the, so Stryker is the brand, is the company. A rep came down and was showing us kind of all their new ones and what they had. And he was looking at the one we had and he's like, well, there's no wonder it stopped working. He's like, this thing is older than old, you know? So, we're just looking to get a new one and update that. So this one, the new one's just battery operated. You don't have to plug it into anything. I think he said battery life is like 2 years. It's one of the new ones, so just need that.
They do have minor equipment budget. 7,500 and.
Was this your note on the,
Yeah, I was thinking something else, so ignore that now.
Were you thinking of that, like, electric?
Yeah, I was thinking, yeah. Yeah.
That speed sign?
Yeah. So.
I'll make a motion to approve the stationary radar unit.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay.
Fire department.
Was there a price on that stationary? You guys just.
$1,570.
Oh, we did not know that.
You should have my report. We had 3 calls of service, 3 standbys out the racetrack. We washed the fair buildings out the fairgrounds with Canal Fire Department. And then we did traffic control for the fair's 5K, 5K walk and run on Saturday morning of the fair. Training we had, extrication, new techniques for getting trapped victims from damaged vehicles, new radio, and the tanker's got new LED fill level lights. And that was a new radio that was supplied by emergency management. They're updating radios now with the fire departments in the county so that we can all kind of start being on the same frequencies. The pipeline has been, the pipeline going south of town has been somewhat more approved again. So IUD approved the permits to go across our fire district and south end, the fire district. So that's all I have.
And you have a note that the roof is leaking?
Yeah, I just keep that one on there because
Still.
it hasn't stopped. It rained what, 6/10 or 7/10 last week? And
Anybody
there's,
look at it?
We've had multiple people look at it.
Well, we've had in the past, yeah. We've been repaired multiple times.
Just need a new building, we're just gonna knock it down.
it's not that old.
I know.
Just need to put a permanent bucket there.
Well, we don't want to.
I have a permanent bucket right there, right? Just, we have to, I don't know, we got.
We're gonna do something.
Yeah.
Maybe worth exploring, because if it's leaking, you don't want mold.
It's all happening in the same room. And I think it's all where the seam from the old roof and the new roof came together is where the major problems are. So,
I will reach out to some people. Contractors.
Yeah. Zoning, Mike.
Okay, you should have my report. Permits issued during the month of July. Sarah Opadahl, she has a 12 by 10 storage shed. Jonathan Rice has an 8 by 12 shed. Jeremy Penning is doing a new deck, 12 by 16. James Sink is getting a 12 by 32 foot building. And Mark Thompson is doing a 225 foot of privacy fence. And Noah Driscoll is putting in 212 foot of privacy fence. Talked with 9 other people during the month, and I attended the meeting that the zoning board had to look at the rules and regulations and zoning ordinances.
We had an email going around, pictures of a corrugated steel
kind of a lean-to or whatever.
Pile of junk.
Huh?
It's a pile of junk.
Pile of junk, anyway, yeah. We need to get that abated or something, because there never was a building permit.
No, it's not a building. I mean, to me, it's just, they've each, whatever they're doing, they're moving it around every now and then. Now they've got it settled to where it's leaning against their garage.
Yeah.
It needs to be abated and removed or cleaned up. It's right by the fire, right by the Catholic church. They walk out the door and they see this ugly mess. And I don't blame them for being upset if they are.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Golf course.
So we approved this lease agreement, last month, but we never set aside a monetary amount for, capital expenses to equipment. So we need a proven amount so that they have something, an issue with some equipment, we can assist in that. And then, you guys are probably gonna want numbers. So,
We just paid off the loan, for 45,000. You're on the right.
That was originally in the original lease, that money was supposed to be set aside. It never was, correct?
yeah, I think we reworded it a little bit.
Yeah, because it was like to be set aside and used within the first couple years, and then it was,
Never, no
the number
amount.
was never given, and who knows if that was ever put in there.
Okay.
A lot of, change in leadership in council, so it's hard to know whether that was. Yeah, Elizabeth couldn't find a thing that indicated that the money was set aside.
Currently, we have $1,000 in capital equipment budgeted
For the golf course?
for the golf course. I obviously know we're gonna have to increase that budget because of lighting and, the garage shed doors. But I don't know what's something,
Cause it'd be something that we'd
Would
wanna,
this dollar amount be in addition to that work, the electricity and the shed doors, or is that intended to take care of that? Because it doesn't say here what it's gonna be. It says assisting the operator with such equipment as may be agreed by the parties, so.
yeah, it doesn't, that's not talking about me.
Right. What is the purpose of the fund?
for equipment, so like if their mower goes bad or like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it has to do with interior, like stoves and fridges, I think it's more exterior, so like
Mowers.
mowers and I don't know.
City owned.
Okay.
Do you have a recommendation? Yeah.
Does 5,000 seem like a reasonable amount? I mean,
That's what I had in my head. That's what I had in my head.
5,000 is what you said?
yeah,
For what kind of time frame? The rest of this year or through?
through the end of the lease, right? December
December
31st, that's when this lease is
Yeah.
final, so.
And that.
Well, so far this summer, we've, had $1,900 in repairs.
For like all equipment, mowers and stuff like that?
Why is that too?
That does not include one that it's costing roughly $2,500 to fix by Hoglands, or we could have sent it down to Des Moines and spent roughly $12,000 to have it fixed. Like I said, the equipment there is old.
I mean,
The electricity, the lighting, and the shed doors will not come out of that money.
no, so that's,
So this would be in addition to
this would be
that.
in addition to that. And
This would be only if we,
And then I also have, just so you know, another bill for
The chemical.
chemicals. So that's $4,750, that is your portion. And then he has 3 more applications to do. One of them got done today, that had to be done because we had cutworms that were basically eating the roots from underneath the greens. And we're getting, algae on some of them again, that he had to treat with fungicide. So that amount will go up also. Running the golf course is expensive.
We have to remember we have we have only so many funds. We can try to do what we can to help. I mean, we're gonna make changes, or we're gonna do repairs to the building.
I was gonna say, I think
$5,000 to me is reasonable because,
with all the other investments we're making,
yes.
so it's just to assist the golf course with any of their equipment maintenance, correct?
Yes, and I think,
Not to completely cover it.
yeah,
And again, it's not their equipment, it's your equipment.
Correct.
Although that's confusing.
because then isn't it the board's equipment,
Because the,
not the, I mean, it's,
because the lease states that the operator, which is the golf course board, is responsible for all operating supplies for the maintenance and repairs of any leased equipment, all fixtures in connection with use of the golf course property, facility premises.
I feel like we're doing our part, and that's just me speaking, we're gonna, make updates to the building, obviously the city is not pay for everything that has, with the golf course needs, so.
Technically, we were supposed
Pay for
to buy
chemical,
more in order to use.
and we're paying for chemicals, and that's a big expense. So I think 5,000 is very reasonable, but that's up to you guys to make that decision.
It'd be through December of 2024. And then the lease agreement were to be extended, and when we're discussing the next fiscal year budget, we could talk about the
This
bigger
should
number.
be set at budget time.
The,
This dollar amount should be set at budget time.
yeah,
Where's the
But-
$5,000 come from?
so I have a fund balance here, I mean. We have $16,000 at the end of the fiscal year in the golf fund, so obviously we're gonna have to do amendments for, let's just estimate, I'm not gonna estimate, for the lighting and for the doors, and then plus the chemicals. And then now we're gonna throw $5,000 into,
Wouldn't it be only if the council decides to move forward with those
yes,
expenses?
yeah, it's only if the council decides to move forward, but I mean, we can't, that's, $16,000 to work with, we can't.
So the 5,000 will come out of that 16.
Yes,
That leaves another 11,000 for anything and everything else.
yeah, plus what's already budgeted, so.
What's your thoughts?
I'd make a motion that we set aside $5,000 for this line item B
second
Right. Any other discussion on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
So Angie, we did remove the lighting quote off of the agenda. I think you got here after they approved that, and it's because we're waiting on one more quote from somebody that's coming over on Friday, so I gotta.
That's fine.
Okay, so, otherwise, I reached out to a whole bunch of contractors for the, garage shed doors. No one got back to me. We have a max quote still on the table, and so that's,
And then that kind of general thing from Francis.
yeah, but he didn't even respond back to see if he was still interested, so,
Yeah.
I mean,
You asked for more details.
Yeah. Well, we wanna get it done, right?
yeah.
Yes.
So do we need a motion for the garage doors?
Yes, yep.
Cause it sounds like we're kind of at an impasse now and we just need to get it done.
Yeah,
It's been on the agenda 2 or 3 times now, so I'll make the motion that we approve Matt Baskey's quote for $5,300 to, complete the shed doors at the golf course.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you doing that. And you had something to bring up, Matt?
You need anything else from,
Oh, I just wanted to bring up too that, the point of sale system was out of date and was not. They basically said you had to get a new system. So our rental on the old system was $30 a month. This one will be $60 a month, but comes with 2 point of sale systems plus one that can be used out on the golf course. It also comes with a computer in the back for food. When it's ordered, it goes straight to the kitchen. And it might have doubled in price for rent from 30 to 60, but we had $7,000 worth of sale the first 2 weeks of July. And we paid $600 in fees.
credit card processing fees? The second 2 weeks, we did about 3,500 and those fees dropped down to $90, about half the amount, but.
The fees are gonna be far
Yeah,
less.
they set a,
Transaction
the, like a percentage amount that stays the same rather than varying between.
American Express,
credit card
Visa, MasterCard, all that.
So even though it went up, looks like it's gonna save a considerable amount of money.
Cause Angie, who did you go through for the new point of sale system?
The same,
Oh, it's just.
it's just an updated system, so they were able to take all the information and put it in to the new point of sale.
That's nice.
And the old point of sale was under, what was the name, Lucas?
Yes,
And we could not get anything transferred from his name to the golf course.
Well, that's interesting.
So, because nobody could contact him, get a hold of him to authorize it, because he was the
owner
of it. So now it's in two people's names on the, at the course, so somebody will always have have somebody that can make the change if so needed.
And you have a couple of big events coming up this fall? This week?
So this week we have class reunion, the alumni banquet, and the holiday tournament. Next week is the hospital tournament. September 11th, we have a group of veterans coming there for lunch. They're going around to see the rocks and different counties. And September 6th is the Scott's family reunion. And then I think that's all. We're done.
You reunion Friday night and Saturday night?
Correct. Friday night is an alumni banquet. Andy, are you still doing regular food out there? No. Oh, you're not? No. Okay. Because somebody had said that and I was like, no, I think they still do food. I didn't know that you weren't still doing food. Okay.
Okay.
If you're ready, I can go over the stuff that I wanted to discuss.
Yes.
So, the last couple meetings, I was out of town, so I wasn't able to attend them, and speak what I thought through some of them. I've got a long thing written out here, I'm not gonna go through all of it because it's getting late. Some of it was just cleared up with, the shed order approval and some of the lease stuff, but in one of them, well, go back this spring, the special meeting between the council and the board in here. Jeff made a comment in that meeting that the only way the city could guarantee that there would be a golf course is that the city owned it. Thought it back then, never said anything.
Is what, no, I didn't hear the last part.
The only way that the city could guarantee that there would be a golf course here is if they owned it.
Oh, okay.
I said that?
Yes. It's not, I mean, it's not reported because it was a special meeting, but yes, that, I remember it very clearly because I.
No, I'm saying we need to sell it.
Well, that's not what you said that day.
In
If that
that, it
is-
was in that room.
No, it was right up here when the tables were facing each other.
Yeah, I remember.
You know, in my opinion, the only thing that guarantees is that the city owns 60 acres of land. I mean, if it wasn't for, and I'm not knocking any previous boards or anything else, not saying people haven't done anything. But with what she's pushed to get grass masters in there, you know, get help from you guys, get the greens repaired, get the irrigation repaired. It was to the point where there wasn't gonna be a golf course. So that was just something I wanted to address from early on this spring. Another meeting earlier, Kurt, you said, I made a comment, the city isn't spending any money. You said, well, we are spending money, we're paying off the loan. That's not spending money. That's paying for something that you bought. It'd be like saying that when the new city water treatment center opens up, that you're gonna pay it off and then never pay maintenance on it, never do upkeep. That's kind of what happened out which is why it's got to the point it was in. There was a lot of conversation about the lease, and Ashley brought up in May that I said that nobody would sign the lease as is. I wasn't there, I wasn't able to explain why. Some things we brought up, no money to repair your guys' equipment. It's not the golf course's equipment, it's the city's equipment. Really, there's only two things in that lease that fall on the city. The buildings, which haven't done anything with, and the irrigation system, which wasn't working. I don't fault any of these city guys. They're not irrigation experts. They didn't know, doing the best they could for something they're doing. And then, I mean, it was and with the part with the buildings, you know, there was some things brought up about the walk-in cooler, whether the city should pay for that or not. What would have happened if the golf course didn't pay for it? What if we didn't repair it? What if we stored the beer and food in something else and let it go? Didn't renew the lease in July? Would you have repaired it? You would have repaired it then. It should have been something you repaired when it happened. The ice machine is working, about half what it should. They've had a repair person in the last year to look at it. It's corroded. There's no repair to it. Needs to be replaced. Who's gonna replace it? Who's that fall on? The discussion of the lease with the trees. And part of this, we've had conversation at meetings at the golf course. It wasn't in public. The lease on the tree, or in the lease for the trees, it says the city or the golf course can only trim. They cannot remove trees. They cannot, I lost my page where that's at. I got 7 pages of stuff here, so. The operator shall not make or allow any physical change in the natural condition of the golf course property. Seasonal pruning of trees and shrubs shall be allowed without city approval. Exceptions will be allowed for any sudden storm damage that requires immediate removal of debris. The city shall provide equipment and help in any sudden storm damage as city manpower allows. Well, they're not allowed to do anything other than trim trees. How does any of that fall on the golf course? Which basically says you guys should have taken care of the trees out there with the ash board from the get-go. I know we've had discussion on it, but I mean those types of things is what I'm getting at in the lease. Nothing is specified who takes care of it. It's so generic. You guys don't know, we don't know. When I research on walk-in coolers, there's debate nationwide whether they're considered part of the building or a removable object. But again, if we wouldn't have fixed it, they could have done business out there as is without it. And that expense would have eventually fell on the city. One brought up some of the stuff with the expenses. Right now, we discussed earlier in the year, there's 2 mowers that are gonna need new reels. Whereas, you approved money for this year, but that's gonna have to happen either after the end of this season, beginning of next season. When are you gonna make a decision on that? That can't just happen 6 months from now. Some of this expense, air compressor seized up. It's junk. I brought mine from home so they have something to use. We're using the fire hydrant to wash city equipment. That got taken away. just all these things, it's such a,
And the well can't be used because it is timed with the greens being watered. So there's no way for us to hook up to the well with the power washer. Just to clarify that.
and I suppose one of the biggest things that irritated me was, there was one meeting where I believe it was in May, that when they were discussing the appraisal, and Angie brought up whether she should remove her equipment. Eric asked for a list. There was a list given this spring. There's an updated list, and there's stuff that we brought from home to use out there, take back. When the time comes, have an idea what's ours, what isn't. But in that same meeting, after she asked if we would have a problem removing the stuff. I'm not sure why, but Kurt, you called her out and said, are you gonna take the floor too? For what reason?
I asked a question.
I mean, it's a pretty stupid question. Did you call out Jim Deemer when he asked for his $5,000 back?
No, I didn't have any part of
The
it.
city didn't do their job of repairing the doors.
I was not part of that, so I don't know anything about Jim Deemer.
We all know about the money that, the donation that
Right,
was.
but I was not part of that discussion.
But why did you call her out for
I just
the
asked a
floor?
simple question. 'Cause she
I mean,
said
I
she
can
was
go in and
gonna
take the
this
floor
stuff.
out.
You guys said you were gonna take the stuff that you put in there, and I asked a question, are you gonna take the floor too?
We can, we already told you this spring it would be a donation.
I didn't hear that.
You guys, I swear you don't hear anything, you don't take notes, you were never prepared for any of this stuff. Never have a copy of the lease in front of you, never have anything ready. And that to me was just a horseshit question. But I can go in and take that floor out because it was put in over an existing floor. And it can go back to business.
No, I don't.
We already said we weren't going to.
I don't think you can, but we're not here to argue with that.
No, I mean, the lease doesn't,
Yeah,
if you wanna, I mean, it says that, but it's not a structural deal, so it could be done.
I don't
We're
think
not going
I don't think this conversation is getting us anywhere. I think that,
Well, it will, and just.
I'm
okay,
getting to it, but those are the things that brought it up, and with all that being said, she brought up in that same meeting, when should I be done? Jeff, you shrugged your shoulders and said, anytime you want. The time has come. The city is no closer to selling than they were a year ago. Other than you got an appraisal of a ridiculous amount, so you're gonna be wanting more than what it's worth. So, that we're done cooking. We're gonna fulfill our obligations of the events we've got planned. Angie is planning to continue on as president through the rest of the season. And then the board, or the board members are gonna have to find somebody else and then go on from there with whatever. It's been a year of this.
And I feel that the best thing for the golf course to do is just completely bow out.
Back to the city and let you guys figure out what to do with it.
Because you guys know better than everyone. And I would like you to notice liquor sales and food sales. Jeff, you had said that the golf course can sustain itself without the restaurant. I want you to look at that. Those
I
numbers.
did not say it could sustain itself. without
Yes,
the
you
restaurant.
did. You don't remember what you say, but it.
You're making.
No, go back through the minutes.
That's well, we don't want to argue. We appreciate what you did. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Approved
Oh,
pay.
speaking of the doors, is there a deadline? What kind of? And then how does that work? Does it need to be done before paid or what? I don't know your guys' process on that.
Usually the work is done and then we get an invoice and we pay that.
Okay.
But I
Yeah, you're, when you get it done, with them, the timing's up to you. What do you guys think? We want it done this fall.
Sooner the better, right?
Sooner the better, because the
Just put it
door's
off long enough.
in bad shape.
Oh, you guys are back. Promise everybody.
So Elizabeth, the work isn't completed.
Yes, yep, the work has to be completed for us to, and get an invoice for us to write a check.
These events are done, I will get started on it.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next we have, pay application number 25 for Hinkley Construction for $55,346.23. Katie has approved that. She's here for any questions.
I'll make the motion that we approve pay application number 25 today.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
Jim, when is this project supposed to be done?
We're gonna discuss that at the next agenda item. Okay, Katie, the room's yours.
All right, so the next item is, change order 3, and then an update on our construction services, status of kind of 2 items. So change order 3, first is a request for, extension on the final completion date, primarily, it's requested to extend substantial completion by 12 days and final completion by 8 days. So, our previous substantial completion date was, June 7th, with final completion on, August 6th. So we're requesting the contractor, requesting the extend substantial completion to June 19th and final completion to October 31st. The June 19th is, when the system, the treatment plant started running water to the system. So by the way that was written in the contract, essentially substantially complete operation using well one. The reason that they're asking to, extend final completion to October 31st is, the delay with the very few contact fees and that, and the RO system is able to start up. So, that we started up end of this month, and we should be stopping water and, it's off the water. So starting to get our, in the meantime, they are working towards the other issues, let's say, they have the work it. So, that's chamber of 3, which is the kind of things. So any questions on chamber of 3?
So you said, the people could actually start noticing it in September?
I mean, I think that there's a noticeable difference when the new plant came online in June between the filtered water and.
I just tested the water, it's 22 parts on it. That's true.
It's not soft yet.
She said she noticed a difference.
Not yet.
Let it finish.
And then,
Iron Maiden.
right, that means iron maybe that's doing more effective job than the old plant. The softened water will be a more effective difference, will be much more slow down.
I was gonna say, you can taste the difference.
Right. And then it'll be softer, to the point where you can start turning down or stop to use more softer. Actual startup is scheduled, for the week of August 24th. Monday. But the last week of August, and then, you know, we'll go.
What should back to this question, what should the softness level, when you're done with everything by the end of October, where should the softness level be to the residents in Britt?
Depending on how you measure it, it should be around 6 to 7 grains or 100 to 120 milligrams.
So I've got several customers that would bring in water samples on a softener that is working. Okay, they think it's working. And I will test it as 3 parts hard. And they're complaining about it working. Now we're saying we're gonna have 6 to 7 parts hard?
They never said that they were gonna take out the soft, have to take out soft.
We got a note in the, we got a letter in the mail. Right, remove our softeners.
No,
No.
didn't say remove.
It said you may not need to use your softener.
So I report it, it's a choice.
So if we're going to 6 to 7 parts hard, people are complaining at 3, you're asking the people to remove their softeners or unplug them. Are we gonna have a lot of upset people?
Yeah.
Within the city of Britt? Because softened water should be 0. 0 parts hard. Softened water should be 0 parts hard.
I was gonna say, I don't have a softener in my house, so I'm looking forward to the system providing me a little bit softer water.
And we can't do softened water, but it's 0 parts are in the system that would be, corrosive on the distribution system. That's including the water chemistry would be, corrosive in the distribution system. Yes, the other pipes, leaving a little bit of hardness in there is keeps the water chemistry in a way that.
So there's a difference between 6 to 8 parts hard and softened water. Is that correct? Do you guys agree to that?
Yes.
So you're giving us softened water that's 6 to 8 parts hard.
It's softened compared to the raw hardness.
I just tested it yesterday, it's
Like
21 parts
22 or
hard.
23.
Yes, so it's softer than raw water.
It's softer than what it was, correct, but it's not soft water.
I had no intention to ever get rid of my water system.
What's that?
I have no intention to ever get rid of my water.
I will not get rid of mine.
But it'll help.
You should use less salt.
So if I heard your numbers right, when it's done, it'll be a fourth of where we're currently at, give or take. So, I mean, 75% is a pretty good improvement.
It'll actually be 3/4.
What?
It'll be 3/4.
That's why I said 3/4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you continue to use.
75%,
you'll be
3/4.
using significantly less salt.
Yeah.
So you
Okay.
have to recharge and whatnot.
Because you said you can't be 100% soft because it'd be, a detriment to our infrastructure.
Correct.
So keep your softener if you want really, really soft water and
If you
use a
want
whole lot
zero,
less
keep
salt
your
than you've
softener.
been using.
I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 3 to Bolton and Main Construction. Service agreement says.
I'll second
Okay, discussion? I have some discussion. It used to be when things weren't done on time, there was fines, you not getting done on time, don't they do that anymore?
That is an option, yes. You can choose not to extend the contract, and there are terms in the contract that include liquidated damages, yes. That's a choice that you can choose to enforce. Henkel has shown a lot of diligence in trying to get this contract done. Pursuing liquidated damages starts to get messy. When you get the lawyers involved, there tends to be, you have to be able to prove actual damages, whenever be able to pay damages, and it takes time and money to do that. So
Then logistics end when it actually gets done.
So it's up to you guys to decide if it's worth doing that or extending the time. Henkel has been a good partner in this project, and that's why we have recommended the extension versus not.
I have heard that discussion, that's why I wanted to bring it up, so everybody could hear it.
Because the initial delay was because of the permitting,
Right.
and now this delay is because the equipment that we received was faulty, and then turnaround time in order to get it, but the system is live, it's just not the RO component.
Correct.
Any other discussion?
Is it in the contract that we have anything where we can fall back on or no?
It is, yes, it's in the contract. If you extend the completion date, then no, because the damages would be going beyond the completion date, so if you extend that, that changes.
Yeah, but I mean, like
Currently,
right
yes,
now,
we're past- yes, it's in there.
Is there any retainage fee on this contract? Any retainage fee on this contract?
Yes, the city is holding 5% retainage.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then the second piece was just kind of an update on our construction services agreement. Since it's been a long time since it was signed, I just kind of wanted to let you guys know where it was at. Our original agreement, was for $520,000. It was an hourly estimated fee, and over 2 years ago now with the original anticipated construction schedule. We've strived to work efficiently, and as a result, we stay within that fee. I anticipate, in closing out this project, even with this extension to October 31st, that will still be within this fee. It's possible as we close it out, we might get close or slightly over. So I just wanted you to be aware, if we do end up going over a little bit, we would notify you beforehand as we get closer. It wouldn't require a contract amendment, it's hourly estimated, but we certainly don't want to go over that at all without talking to you guys first. But I wanted to give you that update since, we hadn't talked about, our fees or anything with any of these updates, construction extensions. So I just kind of wanted to give you that update, give you the opportunity to ask questions if you had any. Our fees.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much, Katie.
Yeah.
Thanks for sticking through this too.
I got another one after.
Oh, you do? Oh. Okay. Next we have Emerald Ash, or you said you have another.
Just do the church thing while she's still here.
Yeah, do you wanna, yeah, you discussed. Okay, go ahead.
Well, that's another one of Eric's ones, so, but that's a task order, for services to demolish the old church that includes, asbestos inspection, and then a survey of the site, and then a plan for demolition and basic services. I think that Eric had talked this through with you, Elizabeth, and I believe he's talked with council about it before.
Yes, briefly.
Briefly, so this is just a task order for doing that work, if you want us to move forward with that. So, I can try to answer questions if you've got any on it.
This is church torn down, so.
Yeah.
Now we can start paying for the fence.
Yeah. They're gonna start billing us monthly, so.
I'll make the motion that we approve task order number 2 for 106 3rd Street Southeast for church demolition.
Okay, Gass.
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
Tillman.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Thank you again.
I don't know if you've had a chance to go by the water plant lately, but the sculpture made of the legs of the old tower is up now, so if you haven't had a chance, take a look. The lights are installed too, so I don't know if they've been turned on yet, have they been?
They were on the other night.
Were they?
Cody's
Cody's been playing with them.
We'd like to have.
If you got
It's up.
any requests for colors, I don't know. So, I mean, that was a big piece with taking down the old tower and mitigation, spent a lot of time on that, so. One stop shop for big close, so.
One thing about that, old water tower, I could see a future problem with that, and that's youngsters climbing in rails.
We are putting, landscaping around that, as a deterrent, it's,
So landscaping and rocks.
as in, bushes with kind of prickly thorns. As a deterrent.
Because I can remember putting the tin around the existing water tower 35 years ago, because youngsters were climbing that water tower.
That didn't deter me either. I still climbed it.
Never doing that.
A few times.
Always a thing.
Just looking at liabilities coming up.
I don't think it's any worse than kids climbing the trees in the parks or anything either. But you're right, they're gonna climb it. If you put something enough to deter them from climbing it, then you're gonna just destroy what they tried to do.
Yesterday, there was a young man sitting on top of the frisbee golf net down at Lions Park.
Well, thank you, Katie. Okay.
Run while you can.
Yeah. Okay, so I, emailed that DNR person, I can't remember his name, to ask if he would come to the council meeting and discuss, and he forwarded me on to, somebody under him, and she basically gave me that Britt plan, from 2019 that they had set up for every city in Iowa, that kind of laid out what we should do with Emerald Ash Borer. Obviously, most cities are not following that plan, as you can see by the spreadsheet. The only city I think that is treating their trees is the city of Forest City. Yes, oh, I didn't add this to this document. Yeah, I did. Yep, so the city of Forest City is on their second round of treatment and they are happy with the results. Everyone else is just cutting down trees as they die, which I think might be the best option for us. And then, I can look into grants here in the next couple months for, trees, replant trees. Cause they
If
have.
we're gonna cut something down, we need to be, we cut one down, we need to put 6 in.
No.
They're not all gonna survive.
Do we,
We cut one down, you put one in.
I was hoping one for you.
Actually, yeah, the reading, I read through that, pretty much all of it. Says for every one you take out, plant one.
Yeah, so hopefully we can plant one.
So 2.
So 2, let's just round up, that's what I was hoping. Not 6.
I can agree to that, but if we only plant one, we're gonna end up with less trees.
Yeah.
because Elizabeth, we have a tree committee, don't we?
Yes.
Could this be something that they get together and meet on and then present an action plan to the council?
They could, yeah.
I don't know like what the process is for that committee to meet, if it's just.
I think it's just informal, so just, I think it's one person on that committee, I don't know who it is.
I think it's Jeff.
Oh,
Jeff, we can have a meeting in my office whenever you want,
Set a time and I'll be there.
okay?
Just so that it,
Yeah.
there can be some, like, I think the trees have been mapped for the ones that have been treated.
Mhm.
And then if there's any that are too far gone, that we know of, that we need to get rid of.
Yeah.
And then if the golf course, those,
Next week.
You were gonna send me that information though from previous, how many, what ones we treated and where they're located and such.
I didn't send that to you?
No.
Yeah, I have that. It's literally in my.
Send that to me so at least I'm
Yeah.
aware of what's going on with that too.
And if you guys look at,
Every-
yeah, I will, I'll send that to you tomorrow. But if you look at the amount on that Britt plan, it's very close to what we had. Or when we originally counted, I think it was 10 which was trees that we've taken down since 2020, so obviously we've taken down more, so I was pretty impressed with that plan that they had laid out for the city.
that's why it's like, does it, like, balancing that information from the plan with what we've already done with
Yeah.
the information, figuring out.
Yep, and then an action plan for tree replanting and stuff like that, yeah. Okay, we'll get something to you for the next council
Please.
meeting. Well, I'll have that to you, but we'll get together and present that to you guys. Yeah, so I have a lot of trouble with, UMB card services. I send a check out usually the 12th, and I think it's due on the 29th, and sometimes they don't cash our checks until after that. And so they'll charge late fees, which I've always got them reversed. So basically, I want, you guys have to pass this resolution so I can make payments online. They won't accept like a letterhead, that has to be a resolution saying that I have authorization to get an online account and pay my credit card online. Otherwise, I have to call every single time and it's annoying. Go through the press one.
So we're still using the same service, it's just giving you the authority to.
We already have the authority to write a check.
Yeah. I tried telling them, and I was on here like 2 years ago, they revamped their system and I got bumped off and it went back to Jeannie, I think, Purvis. That was the last administrator, so I don't know, kind of frustrating.
2 or 3.
Yeah. But anyway, if I can get.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Gosh,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tillman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Moore.
Yeah.
Next is resolution 19-2024, setting the public hearing for an amendment to the code of ordinance for 658, which is the water rates. Water rates are not increasing. So, Niagara approached us and said that we should have a set amount, not a percentage, for increases. So basically, it's just laying out in fiscal year 24-25, we'll charge this, which is 3%. And then 25-26, we'll charge 27.58, all that stuff.
So actually listing the amounts versus just.
Yeah, because they don't,
percentage.
because people can argue around the difference, and so that's why their whole background on that, so that way we have a set amount listed.
I'll offer resolution 19-2024, setting the public hearing for an amendment to the code of ordinance 658.
I'll second.
Gosh,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tillman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
And then it's basically the same thing for sewer, just listing out the same thing.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Gosh,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Tillman,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
And then the last resolution is that, trash and recycling ordinance, we have not increased rates since I've been here, which is June of 2020, so I don't know when the last time we did that was, but since we switched to we were gonna increase rates last
last fall, but we decided not to because there's a lot of opposition from residents. So that's what led us to, join the landfill of North Iowa, and that lowered our rates, but we still have to increase rates to basically break even with what we pay for sanitation, what residents pay for their trash and recycling services.
We have to increase rates, but not nearly as much
Yeah.
as we would have had to if we would have stayed.
So it'll just offset whatever we are being charged by.
We don't make any money off trash. We actually lose money because we have the citywide cleanup in case that's here.
I'll offer resolution 21-2024, setting that public hearing.
I'll second it.
Gosh.
Yes.
Weiss.
Yes.
Hillman.
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Okay, that community survey, did I send a separate attachment for that? I feel like I did.
I don't think we got anything.
Okay, give me a second.
The trolls in.
Yeah, that's not what I wanted to give you guys, sorry.
That's what we talked about.
Yeah, well, okay, so we met with the zoning committee and, they chose a survey template for what we're gonna request from our citizens to fill out so that we know kind of what they want changed on the zoning, on the comprehensive plan and the zoning ordinance. And he gave me a set of questions, and I'm sorry, I did not send that to you guys. So he wanted you guys to look through it to see if, okay, I'm gonna send it to you. Anyway, he sent an example of St. Ansgar, what they did, and then he sent us our draft. And then, it just goes through some of the questions. So it's like, when considering the community existing image and identity, identify whether each of the following is a strength or weakness for the community today. And then it lists a whole bunch of things on there, and we can exclude certain ones or add certain things on there. I guess you guys know the emails with what you guys want. I don't think it needs to be that, but he wanted me to present this to you guys, sorry.
When does he hope to have it?
Just before, like 2 months, he said, because we're not gonna meet with the zoning board for like a couple months over the comprehensive plan. He wants to have the survey ready to go with a couple other documents. He said it's an 8 months before we finish the comprehensive plan, and then we'll start the zoning ordinance, and it'll probably be another 8 months for that.
So if we get to our feedback before the next meeting, that would be sufficient?
Yes, I think so. So if you guys just want to email me those individually.
Is it?
That's all for me.
Anybody here wishing to address the council?
Sure. I questioned a couple of the expenditures for last month. It was brought to my attention that I don't do hydronics. That is incorrect. I do hydronics. And that's the reason why I didn't get the opportunity to give a bid on a couple of the projects last month was for that reason, that I don't do hydronics. That is incorrect.
You don't do hydronics?
That I do, it was brought to my attention that I do not do hydronics. That is incorrect.
For all of us lay people, say what that.
Boilers. Something that heats water.
Okay, Okay.
Just want to let you guys know, I was a little concerned why I didn't get an opportunity to give you folks a bid for the boiler at the sewer plant.
Well, we'll definitely reach out for any other.
I was gonna say, did he get the boiler for the golf course?
Yeah, he
There's
moved,
not a boiler at the golf course.
it was the water heater, but I don't know what it is.
Oh, water.
Move the water, heater, relocate the water heater more for the electric.
Too many water.
Yeah. Well, we'll definitely keep that in mind and we'll
Yes, thank you.
let you know
Thank
if
you.
there's anything that
Appreciate it.
involves.
And thank you for the business that you do give them, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank
Did that
you.
last Friday, I think we fixed that condition.
Yeah, I think I just got your invoice, so.
Around 8 o'clock, there's so plus or minus, like, we were here at 8:15, 8:20.
Oh, yeah.
Got it fixed by,
Mhm. Thank you for that.
Anything else? I wanted to bring up, I told Jeff there's been comments about one of our city council members having an out of town mailing address. Do you want to address that?
I'm currently living at my summer house on the north side of Crystal Lake. Have not made a decision if that will be a permanent residence, and I still sustain my residence in Britt also.
Okay.
If I choose to make that my permanent residence, I will let the council know. But as of this point, that's where I'm spending the summer.
Yeah, all right, thank you, appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeff.
Anything else? Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Yes.
Please.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.